Welcome to the Success Pick and Mix podcast. I'm your host, Nicky Raby, a professional pick and mixer. I'm a personal brand coach, a speaker, an actor, a creator, and a podcaster. I'm on a mission to help you find and create your version of success. Your pick and mix of life and business on your terms. A blend that complements your personality, your goals, and your circumstances. Since 2018, I've been sharing interviews and mini episodes to help you unlock your next step, to make it real and make it happen. Round here, we dream big. We go for the ideal version. We talk about money and make moves our future selves would be proud of. This podcast is free and available for you whenever you need it. So do rate, review, and subscribe for new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices and availability, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests. Now, on to today's episode. In today's episode, I'm talking to Clio Woods, who is the founder of And Breathe. Clio is a postnatal and parental well-being expert, and she created And Breathe after her daughter Delphi was born in 2014. And she found that the fitness and well-being retreats suitable for new parents just didn't exist, so she created one. Clio draws together a team of expert nutritionalists, psychotherapists, personal trainers, mindful experts, doctors and physiotherapists to create an all-round support for mums and dads. And she's a passionate women's health advocate and has written for The Telegraph, The Paper and more, as well as appearing on podcasts such as Motherkind, Motherhood and Breaking Mum and Dad. I am thrilled to have Clio with us today. Again, I recorded this when I was very pregnant in the heat of the summer, so it felt really appropriate to talk about this next phase. So if there is a new parent out there, feel free to pass this on, share the love, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Clio, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hot, sweaty and pregnant. What an image for you all. How nice. But this is not, well, your brand just seems very fitting at the moment because I am thinking about that fourth trimester. Tell me more about what you do and share with us all what your business is.
Thank you. I will. And I see now why you wanted to have a chat. So it's good. Thank you for having me.
I know it sounds very like I'm very self-serving then, but I promise it's for the good of the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm really pleased to chat about it, and it's lovely that the word is getting out there a bit more. Basically, I run And Breathe, and we are a specialist family wellbeing company, and we focus on fitness retreats for families, postnatal, and the menopause. So it's all around kind of keeping fit and getting strong. Food, so good nutrition, but realistic nutrition as well, and feeling good. So kind of mindfulness, time for you, self-care, childcare, all of that is kind of baked into a really awesome package. And we do those in France, the UK, Morocco, and we've been to the States as well. So certainly feels like we're international these days, but it's been an amazing journey over the past 4 years.
Fantastic. And did it start when your daughter was born? What were you doing before? Because with the sort of the postnatal thing, was that something sparked from becoming a mum yourself?
100%.
You were tired, really? What?
What? Didn't know what to expect.
Self-care, really? Yeah.
It's a complete nightmare, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
God, look, I'm very lucky to have had a beautiful, healthy daughter, and have her be alive and not have any issues with having her. But it was a hell of a bombshell, really, in life. When you become a parent, no one really prepares you for what that means,
Yeah.
and what difference that makes to your life and your self-esteem and your knowledge of what you're doing, your security in yourself, your identity. And so I really, really struggled with that. I actually didn't have a great pregnancy, and I had quite a traumatic birth as well. And then postnatal depression and struggling to breastfeed and all of that. And I also had some pelvic floor issues. So all of that, coupled with the kind of new parenthood thing, I was desperate to go on a retreat to
Yes.
rehabilitate and recover and spend some time as a family. But there just wasn't one. And believe me, I looked, because I'm quite into fitness and was
Yes.
previously as well. So I knew all the places to look, but none of the retreats were appropriate for kind of recovery and rehabilitation anyway. And also none of them you could bring your baby to. So I obviously wasn't ready to leave Delphi at that stage anyway, and wouldn't have wanted to. So I kind of had this brainwave. Well, we've got a wonderful, beautiful property in France, and we're very lucky to have that. And I just thought, oh, I know, why don't we try and do a postnatal retreat? So we did one with family and friends, and it kind of went from there, really. So they do say out of a need is born a good idea. So it really feels like that's what happened with and Breathe.
Yeah, and it's so, oh gosh, I'm going to use the word already. I can't believe it, but it's so authentic to you because it's, I can't believe it. How long have we been going? And I've used it already. But it's, yeah, you're right. And when you connect to it as the business owner, other people will feel that passion, I guess. And I was saying to Matty, my partner, earlier, is that sometimes I'll get messages on LinkedIn, or people will say, like, I've got a business opportunity that's going to be great for working around your family. And sometimes these people are not parents for whatever reason, but on paper, the being a parent is very different to actually the reality of keeping all the balls in the air, which of course many of which end up on the floor at any given time.
Yeah, I think you're so right. It's really interesting, actually. As a slight diversion, I went to a kids' party with my daughter a couple of weeks ago, and the children's entertainers there were clearly not parents, and the way that they structured the entertainment meant that they hadn't left a food break in for the kids. And it sounds like such a silly thing,
but never mind the kids. What about the parents? Like, I'm always like, when are we eating? What are we doing?
I mean, literally, these kids were like kind of tearing at the food on the table because they hadn't like taken a break to like have the tea. And it was just one of those things that they just didn't quite realise that maybe that was something they should have baked in, and it just kind of it just made it really obvious to me that they didn't have their own kids, and they kind of weren't really aware of the impact that would have on them. But yeah, it's lovely to be able to speak from a place of experience, I think, on our retreats, because people come and we're still pretty niche. We're still the only ones who are doing exactly what we're doing. And I think people don't quite know what to expect when they come.
Well, I guess there's a certain vulnerability to it as well, of like, I really need help for this particular thing, or I'm looking for support, because again, when you go to all these parent craft classes or whatever there might be, they're like, well, we'll give you the handbook and then off you go, and you're supposed to be great at this. It's like having a personal trainer or anything like that, where you're just like, oh gosh, it feels quite exposing to say, gosh, building myself back up, or having time to heal or breathe, or all of those sort of fundamental things. It feels quite exposing.
Yeah, I think you're right, and because it's not a normal, in inverted commas, thing to do, it's it's even more, you make yourself even more vulnerable, I guess, because you don't really know anyone else who's been to one. You don't really know what to expect. But I think that's where the personal touch comes in. Like, our team is so experienced now, whether I'm there or whether another host is there, whether Caroline, who's our head PT, is there, or another PT. We're also experienced in kind of holding that space and
Yes.
making people feel safe and secure. And our biggest thing is no judgment, because you have so much of that um, outside the retreat and kind of in real life, that it's really lovely and refreshing not to have to submit to that when you're with us.
And it always, that judgment comes on when you're having the worst day, or you haven't got it all figured out, or you just cried on your living room floor. Like, that's when people go, "Oh, when are you going to start doing?" And you're like, "Oh gosh, another thing
Leave me
to
alone.
be able to nail." Brilliant. Oh, and you're coming round and you want dinner. Wonderful. Excellent. How did you know how to structure the program, of having that fine balance of being able to hold the space for people, but also acknowledge the fact, I guess, that these people are sort of strangers and, have so many different variables or family setups or requirements or expectations that they want to gain from the retreat? How did you begin with that process of actually setting this up as this is what we do?
Yeah, it's a really tricky one, actually, because I mean, obviously, a lot of it was from our own experience, mine and my husband's, and what we felt would work. We played around a lot with it on the friends and family retreat that we had, which is the first thing that we did, almost like a test bed for all of our ideas and how it would work. And we've just gradually refined it since then. Our first retreats were amazing and we have brilliant feedback, but I know that we've got even better since then. And that's really gratifying, I think, to know that we're learning as we go along, and we can take into account the experiences that we've had and the experiences of our guests and the different locations and the different weather. There's always something that's going to impact it, and you go, oh, okay, well, if that happens next time, then that's what we'll do.
Yes.
And I think it's great because it's obviously a really personal journey for me, but it means that I can make those decisions if I want to, and the team has come along with me. And they're, when the best members of our team are the ones who can adapt and who are really actually quite excited by changing things and making it new and making sure that they're doing their best. I think that's what's important, really, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And how did you know where, in the initial stages, like, you had the property, but how did you know where to spend your money, or how to get everything, sort of pull the project together? I think there's a cafe that opened near us quite recently, and it's got like the fanciest tables, the artwork you can just tell is really expensive. They've got oodles of staff, and I'm just looking at it, like, hoping for the best, but thinking, I feel like this is going to be closed in like 3 months, because everything is just so, I don't know, like, let's just throw money at it before you sort of know what it is. And I felt that certainly when I was rebranding as a coach and adding the strings to my bow, that there's always something you can spend money on. So I guess, how did you navigate that in the beginning?
By not having any money.
Not having any money. Brilliant. Yeah. No, it's true, because you're often bootstrapping. I mean, there's very few people who go, gosh, I've got 100 grand under my bed, I just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, gosh, just burning a hole in my pocket.
Exactly.
No, we've self-funded so far, and so we have put, over the past 4 years, we have put a fair amount of money in, but nowhere near hundreds of thousands or anything like that. And so each purchase is really considered, and obviously at the beginning it was far less polished, which I think in itself had its own charm. I don't think that took away from the experience at all, but it was far less polished than it is now. And so as we have grown and, our revenues increased, and we've kind of found the right level of pricing for the service that we provide, we've been able to invest a little bit more here and there. But it's always, I've always still got one eye on, oh, that really needs to be quite good value for money. Are we actually getting what we need out of
Yes.
that? And I do sometimes wish that weren't the case because it is tiring.
Yeah.
But I guess it's a good habit to get into, and especially at the beginning, I definitely, we're still bootstrapping really, and I think we're on the cusp now of kind of ramping up a little bit, and kind of moving to a different level of the business. But yeah, it's been a really, I'll be honest, it's been a really hard slog at times.
Oh, of course. And anybody who says that it isn't is a big old liar, because I think, whether it is something, and often it is something that you love, you've still got to put the hours in. You've still got to have awkward conversations, or if it's your own gig, you've still got to um do elements of things that push you out of your comfort zone, or you go, oh my
Mm,
goodness, I never knew how to do this, but yet I'm on the phone to this insurance company, or asking
yeah.
for something, and I don't know if it is actually what I want, but this man called Tony says it is, and I hope Tony's right, and we just don't know. So um
What I really struggle with actually is using my time to do things that I know that other people can't. So I do have an
yes.
assistant. I do have like a marketing assistant, and as well, and it's struggling to hand over the things that I know that they can do, and in the hours that I know that they'll be working, rather than doing it
Yes.
myself and wasting my time doing things that actually, it would be far better for me to be, nurturing partnerships, or business development, or doing a whole load of other stuff that I know that they can't do. But it's really easy to get sucked back into that because it's in front of you and you know how to do it, and actually it's easier for you to do it sometimes than explain to someone
Yes.
else how to do it.
And it's sometimes those tasks don't take up a lot of brain power. And if you've been like nailing and smashing through 140 things that feel really tough, sometimes kind
Yeah.
of faffing around with an email just feels lovely. But you
Yeah.
have to, you're right, you have to remember that moment of going, oh, actually, this is not what I need to be doing, and
Yeah.
I need to be bold and kind of do that. How have you got your business out there? What's been really useful in terms of bringing people's attention to your brand, and people really understanding what you do? I guess so many people, they start with that need for a business, and they start with the idea, and it looks beautiful on paper, but then there's that tipping point of, oh blimey, I've actually got to tell people about this. What's been
Yeah.
useful for you and worked so far?
So we were very lucky and worked very hard to get a lot of amazing press. So because it's a really new type of concept, it's actually, again, it's all about trying to raise brand awareness, but explain the concept to people.
Mm.
Um, when we started, no one was searching for postnatal retreat at all. I know now that, about, uh, kind of 20% more people are, which is great. And if you do search postnatal retreat, we're like the first 3 pages, um,
Perfect.
which is amazing. And we also come up a lot in searches for like best family holidays, and best holiday with toddler. Um,
That
and things
includes the
like that.
toddler.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, I had this amazing holiday as a parent. Oh, but the child wasn't actually
Yeah,
there.
yeah, exactly. And that is all because of, it's obviously because of our web presence, and the partnerships that we've had, but it's mainly because of press, and linking, from those, pretty important, papers and magazines back to us as well. And, it allows us to build a bit of credibility with an audience as well, because
Yes.
they are like, oh, this is a kind of funny little new thingy. Oh, but they've been in the Times, so they must be real, and they've been in the
Yes.
Guardian. Oh, and I really like the Guardian, so that that must be something that I would like then as well. And oh, look, they're in Harper's Bazaar. Oh, that's fancy. Like, so it's so I think that really helps just in terms of building up brand credibility and recognition and so on. We've always been fairly good at Facebook ads as well, although that's kind of been a bit up and down over the years. So it's just about kind of trying to find the right formula for any particular moment in time.
Yes.
But those are the two main things. I mean, we do a lot of partnership stuff, blog swaps with people and, competitions with influencers and that kind of thing, like smaller bits and pieces. And we do have a social media presence, which is, it's not stunning, but it's kind of there, and every little helps, I think. So it's kind of a combination of those things. But I think what really like launched us and made people aware of us was definitely the press aspect. So that was, a brilliant investment right at the beginning.
Fantastic. And I love the fact that you were exposed to those big markets probably before you felt ready, or whilst you were still maybe tweaking the concept, or in the kind of early months or early years of the business. And I think sometimes people think press is like 10 years down the line, whereas actually you can get going from where you are right now. And if people like you and they like the concept, they're going to buy into that, and then that sort of gets the momentum going. How have you found yourself building a team and bringing people on board as you've grown that are going to share your vision but also bring their unique flavour and their excellence and brilliance to the table?
That's a really interesting question, because it's been really hard to pin down exactly what's important about the team members. I mean, obviously it's a bit different with, admin or my, my assistant, for example. That's a bit easier in a way to find the right person for and train up.
Yes.
But for the delivery teams, like the people who actually go on the retreats and the practitioners, it's another question. Like the personality thing is really, really important. And also I've learned that they really need to buy into the and breathe concept as well. They need to see it as a we rather than a they.
Yeah.
And we had an interesting, not great experience last year where that didn't happen, and they, the hosts and the practitioners who were there, it was very much, the and breathe were they, not and breathe is us. And that really made a difference to the way that the guests perceived the whole experience. And it wasn't great. It wasn't our best one, and it wasn't one of our core retreats, which I think made a difference as well. And I think that was a really big lesson to me, to stick to what we're passionate about, rather than trying to shoehorn a different concept into the under the and breathe umbrella, if you see what I mean.
For sure, because I think sometimes you can diversify way too much, not you but one can, and sort of try and be all things to all people, especially if you're in a serving, caring type situation. I know I felt like that with my coaching in the beginning. Like, are you sad? Don't worry, I can help you. Do you want a new job in retirement? I can help you with that. And it's like, what do I know about retirement? Nothing. Like, we're never going to retire because of the way that it is. So I think when you get back into that sort of refining it and streamlining it, oh my goodness, it's so much easier, because you expend so much energy trying to do all the things. And I'm sure people would look at me and go, what are you doing? Like, you know nothing about this. What's it all about? And how is it sort of living in the UK, but managing something abroad as well?
Yeah, tricky. It's much easier now than it was at the beginning, because it's a dual thing. The property is kind of one part of what I do, and is actually like a separate business to and breathe, which is, I see kind of as my main business. The property is just a kind of in the background thing.
Just still all kind of sexy and grand.
Sure, just a little project on the side, bedroom house. But it's, obviously requires a lot of headspace when things come up, like, we've had some really bad storms over the past couple of years. So, there's been roof damage. So it's like, all hands on deck when you get the call through from the housekeepers to say, there's some holes in the roof.
Yes.
So that can be really hard. I've got an amazing and amazingly trustworthy team over there now, and team of contacts that we've started to work with. It took us a long time to find the right team, but it makes such a difference, and I couldn't do it without them, that's for sure. And that was a question of waiting to find the right person. We got burnt a couple of times, using the wrong people. And again, that was just a bit of a lesson to me, I suppose. You don't know what you don't know in a way.
So true.
So it's been interesting. The retreats themselves, we do probably half of them in France at the moment, but next year we're actually going to be doing a lot in different properties in partnership with other people as well. So there won't be so many based in France itself. So it will be a bit more separate than it has been, which I think will be really interesting, I think, and good for my own headspace to just treat them separately, because I think that really helps.
Yeah, for sure. And what do you do? Because you're holding space for everybody, whether that's when you're hosting a retreat or managing staff, or I was going to say managing your husband, like collaborating equally with your husband, or being a mum. What are the things that top you up? And even if you're like, I'm so tired, my child's been awake up all night, or the roof's just fallen in, those days where things just pile up. What helps you to take a step back and recalibrate and just go, it's okay, I've got this, I can do this, this is the next day?
That's such an interesting question, because it assumes that I do have the time to do that.
Right, exactly. I just go to a spa.
Yeah, exactly. I am a massive advocate for self-care. That is what And Breathe is all about. But I'm very, very bad at taking my own advice. I'm better sometimes than I am at others, but there's no denying that my stress levels are pretty high. It's something that I'm working on pretty solidly at the moment, because it's kind of got to the point where something's got to give, and I really don't want that thing to be my own health and mental health. So I'm taking it a lot more seriously now than I was. I think I personally really struggle with societal expectations and cultural frameworks that means I think I need to succeed in all areas, as I think a lot of women do. But it's kind of trying to take a step outside of myself and think, okay, well, if you were my friend, what would I be telling you? I really struggle with my levels of self-compassion. I don't have very much of it, and so that's also something that I'm working on. So I think I always try and meditate every day, whether that's for 1 minute or 10 minutes. Every little helps, and I try and do it throughout the day as well. I might do a couple of minutes at lunchtime, and then a couple of minutes just before I go and pick my daughter up, as well as doing it when I get into bed, because I find that if I can bring that chaos down in my head during the day, it's easier then to do at night. And I do struggle at night to sleep quite a lot of the time. I'm a bit better than I was, but it's definitely been pretty bad over the last couple of years, just because I've been juggling too many things, I think, which is another lesson in itself.
And it does feel at night sometimes, if there's ever a problem or something that's bubbling in your head, it's like somebody's shining a great big torch in your eyes, like, I'm just going to highlight all these problems, and they just seem to escalate and seem so huge and meaty in the middle of the night, and oh my goodness. somebody said to me the other day, sometimes the best thing you can do for your business is go to bed. I was like, oh, that's so true, because when I start opening my laptop at 10 o'clock going, right, I'm going to tackle this, I'm like, what am I doing? This is not how I work best. But I love
Yeah.
that sort of getting to know yourself and doing it in a way that really suits you, and listening to your own intuition is so
Yeah.
important.
I definitely think that, the working style is really key for me as well. Like, I don't do well trying to mix, parenting and working. So
Me
even,
neither. Yeah.
yeah, even if I do fewer hours work during the day and then take time off when I go and pick my daughter up, I think that's better for me than trying to do, smash out a few emails while she's watching Paw Patrol or something.
So
Um,
true.
and the other thing, I guess, my one thing that I do is, my phone goes down at 7 o'clock every day, and
Oh,
I can't look at social media in the evenings. I refuse to. And because if I do, my brain just doesn't, it lights back up again. Even at kind of 7, 8 o'clock, and that's, it's a good couple of hours before I go to bed. So that's a really important thing for me, is just to kind of switch off fully as soon as Pops goes down, my daughter. um I put my phone down shortly afterwards, and that's it, because I just can't. My brain just doesn't listen to me otherwise. It's just like, la
yes.
la la.
I do
I'm
have to treat
working.
it like a kind of obnoxious toddler. Like, no,
Yeah,
I've said enough. That's it. No more. Like, mummy is not happy with you, right? Because you have to sort of go there to that point of taking it seriously. Because, yes, my partner sometimes does that. Like, are you going to get off your phone or whatever? And certainly with this pregnancy, that's,
yeah,
I'll sleep until a bit about midnight. And then sometimes between 12 and 3, I'm like, la 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 la, and I've got myself into a weird circle where I'll end
yeah,
up listening to podcasts because I can't sleep, but then I can't sleep because I'm thinking about the podcast, and then
yeah.
I just feel like I go slightly mad by the end of it. But such is life, hey. What are you excited about in terms of what have you got coming up? What do you want people to know about and find out more about?
Um, so actually, we have, just launched a couple of new things which are more kind of at-home products than residential retreats. It's been really interesting because obviously the retreats are a fairly high value product.
Yes.
um, but they need to be. There is a lot of work that goes into them. It's a lot of staff. We can only host so many families before it becomes chaotic because the kids are involved. It's not an adults only retreat, so it
Yes.
becomes a whole different ball game. And so they're inherently quite a high end product. But I really wanted to try and reach out to those people who are, not able to spend that money, but really want to feel the kind of nurturing and nourishing and strength giving and functional fitness and so on that we do so well. So we've got a kind of virtual retreat. It's called a me treat.
Oh, so
um,
nice.
and it's an at-home retreat. So we basically give you all of the components of a retreat. So the fitness classes, meditation, massage. We actually include a mummy MOT, a physio checkup in there as well. And then we give you all the recipes and shopping lists that you might need, to kind of make sure that you eat healthily over the course of the week. And then you can basically sign up to that, and you can do it from home, or you might be on holiday with your friends and family, or to have taken a holiday cottage or whatever, and you can do it from there as well. Um, and so it kind of enables you to create that and breathe magic, but from wherever you are. So that's something I'm really excited about, because hopefully it will mean that, we're able to reach out a little bit more flexibly to people. And then a really exciting project that we've got coming up, we're launching in the next couple of months, which is very exciting, is it's called Parent Food. like baby food, but parent food. And it's a pre-prepared meal box, which is all of the nutrition that you need as new parents.
Oh my goodness, this is speaking to me so much. Yes.
And it's amazing because we work with, so Liz Sargent is our resident nutritionist, and
Oh, I love Liz. She's great.
She's amazing. And so we've worked together to create the menus and make it really super nutritionally dense, but really kind of easy and healthy. And they're not heavy meals, they're light meals, and you're going to feel really lovely after eating them. But it's 3 meals, 2 snacks and teas over the course of a week. So you basically takes care of you for the whole week, and you don't have to think about it at all. And it feeds 2 people, because so many of these food boxes are around just one person, and that's great. Like if it's the mom and they want to start eating healthily again, being a bit more aware of their body, getting stronger, regaining some of the nutrients that they've lost during pregnancy and so on, that's great. But then what about the dad? Like
totally.
So then he still has to come home and cook, or you might have to cook anyway for him. So it felt like a really nice thing to do it as a 2-person thing where you can enjoy it together. And so that's really exciting. We're taking orders and pre-orders for both of those now, actually. So
well, really I'll link everything in the show notes so people can find out. But I think, gosh, you've hit on such a point where I had a chat with Matt the other day of, I've got about 5 weeks to go with this baby, and sort of saying, right, not that I'm bossy or anything, but like for this month, like let's knuckle down and like only do the stuff that we need to do, like try and get good sleeps in when we can, really look after ourselves, because as the pregnant woman, you are often doing that because, you're so terrified of like doing something that is not perfect or anything. But actually, you need that from your partner to be on top form and be able to support you, and also support themselves as well. There's no room for somebody else saying, I mean, I did say the other day, like, you have to tell your mum to stop saying how tired she is, because we are really tired at the moment. Please, we can't carry other people's things. But if people want to come and find out more about you, where should they go?
So we are online. Our website is andbreathepostnatal.com. And we're also on Instagram and Facebook, both at And Breathe Postnatal as well. So hopefully fairly easy to find. If you Google us, you'll also find us, because I appreciate it's a fairly long handle and website name. So
no, it's good, it's great. But oh my goodness, I've loved chatting, and as I said, this comes at exactly that right moment of having a second one. It has made me think, like, I don't just want to be in survival mode. I want to see if I can thrive wherever possible, and that means putting in boundaries now and saying no and all of these things that I think with my first, I wanted to do that Lion King moment of like, here's the baby, everybody look at the baby, whilst I was kind of sellotaping myself back together in the corner. And this time I want to be like, I made a baby and here I am as well, not to kind of get the glory by any means, but you both
I get the glory.
I will. I just want a medal or a cloak, something like that, just to certify it. No, but you have to, it's a team effort, isn't it? You want everybody to be well, and that's when families really sort of function, when you can come together. So I have started to become my mum or my dad, or a weird sort of version of myself going, we all need to do jobs in this family, to my child. I'm like, who is this? Where has this voice come from? But thank you so much, Clio. I've absolutely loved chatting. And
you're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you haven't already, feel free to rate, review, and subscribe for all the brand new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. NickyRaby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices, availability, or just to have a chat with me, go to NickyRaby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests, and I'll see you next time.